So my first Exeter Pride was 2022 here in Exeter. It was also my first Pride overall. And I wanted to attend because I reached a point in my life where I felt very confident in who I am, very proud to be who I am, and open with it. And I wanted to take part in a nice, big, open activity for the community. Yeah. Well, I was in Devon for about 5 years. By the point I attended Exeter Pride, I spent a bit of time in North Devon, a bit in Torbay, before then moving to Exeter. And I think like my journey with my sexuality also blossomed while I was in Devon, so it does have a very special place to me. I think the whole day is just quite memorable to me. I mean, it was my first Pride, so almost every moment was like, wow, like a kid in Disneyland, really. It did really feel like gay Disneyland, to be honest. And I think having volunteered to help set up that Pride as well, and like being in charge of the volunteers of the day and the ones leading up to the event and coordinating them, it really felt like, home in a sense, like something I kind of took part in. You planted the seeds, you watered it, you watched it grow, and plant reference here. Um, but it's yeah, overall, I think every moment is quite memorable. I think there was a moment when there was the busking station, and I had to take over the mic from the guy that was running it. And it was randomly, I was like, I'm literally at a Pride event, just calling out introductions and shouting through a mic and, making people laugh and smile and things like that. And it just felt like a very, very happy moment. You feel like you're in the place you meant to be in. Yeah.
Did your first Exeter Pride live up to your expectations?
Oh, absolutely. I think it shattered it completely. Yeah. I mean, I have to say I was a bit skeptical at first, mainly because I've never been to a Pride before. The only thing is photos from friends who have been to like London Pride or New York Pride and all the parades and things like that. And you see all these massive things, and then you're in a committee of about 8 or 10 people. And you're like, how are we going to do something to that scale? And then when I got to see the parade and the march and be in it as well, that was just, it felt like all of a sudden the city you lived in for so long and seeing the people around it every day, it all just grinded to a halt to stop and participate in this. And you're walking through all of it and you could see all these people. And I remember I had friends who came down to support me. So you'd see from the people on the side, there's like a friend waving at you. They brought their parents and their families to come and participate as well. It was lovely, to be honest. I think it's for everyone to come in, enjoy it. But primarily, it is for the LGBTQ community. It's a place for them to feel like they have a home where they belong in the city. They have, it's meant to be like a beacon or a lighthouse of, you know, acceptance, love, happiness, and everything positive. I think we still need Exeter Pride because honestly, without it, I would say my experience of being gay in Exeter would have been very different. I wouldn't probably feel that I've got this community in this city around me. I've got all these people who are, actively working towards making sure there are events for us, there are, you know, points of contact, even like the outreach groups, the support groups, the activities, the sports groups, all of that. Like you don't really have a focal point of, hi, this is the guidebook to being LGBTQ in Exeter or anything like that. It's having events like Exeter Pride that really bring everything about being LGBTQ together on that one day, really. And I think in, we quite frankly live in a slightly less populated, less urban part of the country, and much smaller cities that normally attract, your heteronormative families wanting to buy a house, have kids, things like that. And so you always feel like you're a very, very small percentage in a statistic sometimes when you go around the city, whatever job you're doing, you're almost always the one gay person or the one LGBTQ person. You see one other person, you're like, oh my God, yes, finally. And you need those spaces. You need the events and the spaces that bring you all together where you're like, I'm not the minority here today. I am the majority. This is for me. I think ever since I was a kid, I've always believed that, everybody has their own goals or mission in life or anything like that. Mine was kind of just to feel happy, content, and to also leave the world a better place than the one I've entered, no matter what I end up doing in life. And I think, going through your teenage years, early adulthood, you know, exploring your sexuality, understanding your sexuality, and then embracing it. I think for me, one of the biggest parts was once I reached a point where I felt quite accepting and embracing of my sexuality, I just felt the kind of desire and ambition to help others who might be in that situation. I mean, even my access to like counseling, things like that, that actually came through a LGBTQ charitable foundation. And if it wasn't for them and the work they do as volunteers, I wouldn't have been able to be in the place I am today. And so for me, I felt that it's the least I can do, which is to push and try and participate in those activities for the LGBTQ foundations around me. And I felt that, it would make a lot more sense for me to participate with an organization that is here in my city rather than do like virtual work for a big name LGBTQ organization across the country. But I think, when you're trying to help out and support others, you should start with your next door neighbors first. So you should start with your local area. And for me, as soon as I searched for LGBTQ organizations in Exeter, boom, Exeter Pride came up, sent that email, and the rest is history.